Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. Today on the show, we have Cementation. You will know Cementation. We've brought them up a lot on the show because Roy Slack, former president of Cementation, has hosted a lot of shows for us. But today we have Steve Wrixon. He is the vice president of Health, Safety, and Environment. Sir, welcome to the show.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
How's CIM been?
It's been really good. Yeah, the whole vibe is quite positive.
Yeah.
I think everybody's still just happy to get people together, good networking, lots of innovations around the trade floor, and some good presentations as well. So pretty good job, I think, on the knowledge sharing. That's what this is all about.
It always amazes me the work that actually goes to putting something like this together. Like this, our little booth is busy. I can't imagine scaling this up to all the presentations. It's wild.
Yeah, it's got to take a team and a lot of effort for sure.
Well, a lot of times their team, when you email them after the event, they'll be gone for like a month. Some of them, they just.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, no, I mean neither.
I don't blame them.
Where are you based out of?
So I live in North Bay, Ontario. That's the main office of our Canadian operations.
Okay. I was mostly just seeing if you were an Oilers or a Canucks fan. I guess you probably really don't
Sadly,
care.
a Leafs fan. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to go there on you.
It's okay.
I'm going to be polite.
Used to it. Yeah, I'm used to it.
Says the team that's never won a Stanley Cup. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, 60 years. It feels like never.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's longer than most people have memory of.
Yeah.
What's the cementation philosophy for anybody that actually let's actually zoom out. Just anybody who doesn't know the company.
Yeah. So a little quick 30,000-foot view of cementation. So we are a mine contracting company. We've got a pretty robust engineering group, probably about 50 people. So we can do a lot of design builds, whether that be head frames, anything, hoist rooms. But basically, long and short, if there's a mine owner out there that needs a mine built, they send it out for tender to the different contractors and we bid on it. And we can do the shaft sinking, the lateral development, the underground construction, anything that is needed to get a mine up to production. And in some cases, when a mine owner doesn't necessarily have their own people to mine the ore and do the production, we'll do that as well.
What's your background before this role?
Yeah, so I grew up in Sudbury, Ontario. I'm the now third generation of a mining person or family. So nice. Had no expectations to ever really get into mining, but I went to the University of Western Ontario, was doing a degree in health sciences.
Okay.
And part of that program was occupational health and safety. I signed up for a course and then it clicked for me a little bit. I took a graduate program there also in health and safety management and through some family connections. So I joined on with Cementation and I spent about 5.5 years on different projects across Canada, in Sudbury, New Brunswick, Nunavut, British Columbia, and then about 11 or so years ago made up the move up to North Bay to kind of join the corporate team.
Oh yeah. And what's sort of the day-to-day role? We always on the show we kind of end up zooming out, then we look at different deliverables of the company, but I'm always curious, we're still, most of us are kind of Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
We're pounding away at something. What sort of fills your day?
Yeah, the Monday to Friday thing is, we always recognize, and that's why I tell my team too, like we have people working 24/7, night shift, day shift, weekends.
As soon as I said it like that, right? I knew you were going to call that out.
So, but everybody needs work-life balance, let's be honest, right? Yeah. But what fills my day is, we're trying to design and implement, and we use the term like almost be the architect of our health and safety program.
Yeah.
And it's ultimately our operations people who own the program and have to deliver. But my group will provide some guidance as to, what the best methodology is, what the best things that we can do to get the most out of it. We own the kind of health, safety, and training and environmental programs.
Let's talk about our Heavy Industry World Tour brought to you by Savona Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide. And Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, easier. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. Capital Limited are a leading global mining services provider with expertise across the entire mining value chain. Their end-to-end services include exploration and production drilling, in-surface and underground operations, load and haul, as well as assay laboratories. For 20 years, they have delivered best-in-class safety performance, professionalism, and reliability to customers worldwide. Capital have recently expanded into the Americas, where they continue to deliver the highest standards of excellence in mining services. Learn more at capdrill.com. CIM is Canada's leading technical institute dedicated to the sustainability of our industry. Members enjoy professional growth opportunities through CIM libraries, publications, webinars, societies, and the job board. Experience the CIM community firsthand at the Conference of Metallurgists, August 19th to 22nd, ICARD, September 16th to 20th, and the CIM Health and Safety Conference, October 6th to 8th. Visit CIM.org for more information and join CIM today.
Does Cementation have a philosophy that they bring to the table when it comes to safety?
Yeah, so our philosophy is zero harm. Like at the end of the day, we want everybody leaving work, leaving their shift to go home in, the same condition or even better that they arrived in. And zero harm kind of became a buzz phrase over the years,
Yeah.
right? And we really wanted to make sure we defined it. So kind of how we use it is if you have an injury or an illness at work that affects the quality of your life, and if you like to go skiing with your kids or run with a dog or whatever, if you can't do that because you got hurt at work, we haven't achieved our goals. So it's not that every injury is the most, the utmost focus. Injuries happen and we want injuries to be reported so treatment can take place and all that stuff. But ultimately, our biggest focus is to stop life-altering injuries and fatalities.
Yeah, and that, what's the method in your position? What is your method to instill that culture though in the workplace? Because it doesn't take much to lose that culture. Yeah,
so the culture is an interesting piece of it, and as much as we believe we have one particular culture at Cementation, and we try and drive that. It's that project superintendent or project manager, the person who's out managing that work and dealing with the crews and lining up the supervisors. They really own it. And we actually had a comment from an employee survey many, many years ago. And it said, whatever that project superintendent is driving the culture. And if it's good, that, congratulations. But if it's lacking, that's the company's fault, right? We haven't built and instilled our culture into that leader. And leaders have followers, and we need them to really understand how we want to operate.
What is it like in your environment? What is it like now? How to ask? So cementation is going on site. Is there an interaction with other operators as well, though, or do you sort of work in silos? I'm wondering about the crossover of cultures out when you're in an operating mine or in a developing mine.
Yeah, excellent question. When we go and work, we're working for a client or a mine owner, or maybe somebody that they've hired to manage their scope of work. And the mining industry, the mine owners, the cultures of the big major mining companies are very, very strong and align with ours in health and safety.
Right.
And we've been very fortunate to work with some big mining companies, and they truly raise the bar for us sometimes. And we learn from them. We're able, because we work around the world, we could take kind of the best pieces of different clients' programs and things like that and try and adopt them into our own. Getting that initial alignment when you're starting a project to make sure everybody understands what standards we're working to. We do a bit of a gap analysis usually. So if a mine owner has a particular standard or stance on one thing and we have a different one, we'll follow whichever one's more stringent. So do we make sure that we're working to the highest standard possible.
Falkirk Environmental Consultants transform ideas into sustainable realities. Founded in 2019 by a visionary team including Jen Turner, Max Brownhill, Mike McPhee, and Indigenous Engagement Specialist Christy Smith. The team champions projects that thrive and respect communities and ecosystems. Falkirk specializes in project planning, Indigenous rights, community well-being, and water stewardship. The team at Falkirk are more than consultants. They are natural resource stewards that support a sustainable future. Falkirk, getting it right the first time. You can contact them info@falkirk.ca to learn more. Attention builders, we've got everything you need to know about the grit and grind of the construction world in one show. The Construction Show is where you can share your expert techniques and strategies to help keep the crew strong and construction sites secure. From foundational tips, industry trends, safety strategies to advanced equipment and machinery. Be part of the voice of construction. Book your episode and showcase your company to millions worldwide. Visit crownsman.com.
You brought up something, and I wanted to spend some time on it, is the essentially you can't avoid every injury. But basically it's protecting people from the quality of their life being disrupted. And it's the first time I've actually had someone say it. I think people should say that, because what concerns me when people do these things like nothing's ever going to go wrong. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you know, if you've worked out in any sort of construction, mining, any sort of, I mean, grab a hammer, you're at risk. Like, it's just, there is risk.
Absolutely.
And how do you define that? I just want to talk a little bit more about that, because it's an easy thing to just say, well, zero harm, but then now you can't even be productive because people can't even breathe.
Yeah.
Right. So where's that balance?
So, you can always strive for zero injuries, and that should be your goal at the beginning of every shift. Like, nobody's coming to work to intend to get hurt, and no supervisor wants that of any of their people. But the focus, we all only have so much bandwidth, right? We can only have so much effort. Where there's so time, resources, they're all finite. So if we spend all of our time and energy trying to manage the most common injuries, maybe a pinch point, a cut finger, a rolled ankle, if we spend all of our energy focusing on that, we could probably get very, very close to zero, but then we might miss something catastrophic.
Right. Yeah.
Because again, you only have so much time. So that's where our focus needs to be. You can look in the rearview mirror, right? Hindsight's easy. And when we investigate incidents, we find immediate and root causes, and there's always corrective measures to be on them. But, I think a lot of focus gets put on what we call total recordable injury frequencies, and contractors are judged pretty harshly, or, and legitimately by their clients on those. But they're just statistics, and they don't necessarily tell the whole story. If I cut my finger and I need one stitch, that checks a box, and that now becomes a recordable injury. If I fall off a ladder and break my leg, that statistically counts the same. And it's just not practical, right?
Right.
So, to look at the stats and to try and have that focus. And I think some of the most mature companies in the world don't even talk about their total recordable injury frequency. They want to focus on risk.
Right, because it almost allowed, because you almost, it's almost like, going back to the hockey theme, players, padding their stats, but at the end of the year, it doesn't really do much.
Did you win or lose?
Did you win or lose? Yeah. And the good teams focus on the win, not individual stats.
Exactly. And can we honestly say we did everything we did to make sure that nobody gets a life-altering injury today?
Right. And that being that focus, it's a really interesting way of saying it. The other thing I was wondering about, we just had SMS in here. We were talking about new dozers by Komatsu and some of the safety features that go, which sort of brings me to the question of the technology around safety.
Yeah.
How much has that changed?
Yeah, innovation is a big thing, right? And our key focus is separating our people from the hazardous energy. And we work in mining, we got falls of ground, we got equipment, explosives, things like that. What can we do to move people away from the harm? And some of the equipment manufacturers do an incredible job on doing that. And we like to work collaboratively with them to give them the input of the operators and the maintenance people, because ultimately, if they could do a good job, our people are going to be an advantage. And I think the other part of that comes in, and it's how we select our methodology. Okay, so a scope of work comes out, and this is the scope of work you have to perform. It could be shotcreting in a raise, something like that, right? Well, the quickest and cheapest way might be to put two people in that raise handling a shotcrete hose.
Yeah.
The best option might be to use a robotic arm or something like that. So if there's a problem with that hose and high pressure and there's a burst, nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
right? But as soon as you got people literally with their hands on drills and high energy hoses, things like that. So
Yeah.
you could do a ton with the methodology and how you want to achieve that.
Is that hard? Does that require quite a bit of an investment though, as a contractor to get in as these different sites are coming along? It's sort of you're adapting as you go a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And different clients are going to have different priorities, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the cheapest, fastest bid will be the successful one, but going that route isn't always the best thing to do, right? It's you're setting people up to potentially get hurt.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's worthwhile spending a bit more money doing it the right way to protect people's health and safety.
How do you sort of sift it? There's lots of options out there. How do you sort of put together? I know this is now getting a little bit of a micro conversation,
yeah.
but if you're looking at a project, do you map all, like, before you even land on the site? Is that all mapped out? What kind of, like, if you're using a robotic arm, is that all implemented, or is some of that evolving as the project goes?
So ideally, you do as much of it as you can on the front end, because in order to put in your proposal, it needs to be based on your methodology, how you're going to execute the work. But by all means, we can't necessarily just go into a project and say, this is how we're doing it, and not adapt.
Yeah.
Right? Ground conditions can change. The quality of the people you have could change. There could be new innovations that come out, right? So you always got to be open to that kind of continuous improvement mindset.
Who are the hardest people to get on board for safety?
I truly think, again, when you set the company's culture, and you say, look, we are doing this so you make it home to your family. And we do a good job on right at the orientation process when we bring people onto a project. Orientations are generally run anywhere from 2 to 4 days roughly. And they're often done by, client personnel or the site safety coordinator. But what we mandate is that we have a senior operations person come and spend about half an hour and go through a presentation on their expectations in terms of how we operate at this project. And that's really to set the tone and set the bar. And that's, again, because they really own it. In terms of, like, who needs convincing, I think
Just so I'm not trying to call it.
Yeah.
The context a little bit was, like, I was thinking about people that have been in the industry a long time versus people they're new. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Getting them to buy in, even though they don't know even the risks sometimes.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So, some of the old school people, I've seen some of them adapt so well over my time.
I've heard that many times.
Yeah. And I think, they're smart. They've been at it a long time, and they understand.
And they've seen stuff like Roy Slack. He's seen stuff.
The expectation is, if you want to work in this industry, this is how you do it. I think between the contractors themselves, like, we're competitors and we share everything when it comes to safety.
Yeah.
The clients, it's really good. So I don't have a big problem, I think, trying to get people on board.
Yeah.
I think the industry's come a long way.
Yeah.
The education piece is kind of what you talked about too, right? On the new people, how do you get them up to speed? Because sometimes the young people come in and they're energetic. They want to perform. They want to do well, right?
Yeah. Well, and I've been in a situation. I was taking equipment out of a mine, and we were cutting something away, and we were sort of angling it away. We thought it was like light tin. It wasn't light tin.
No,
it was crazy. Like, if I had been that much more, it would have just crushed me. I would have been gone. And it's, that stuff, it was just a mistake. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, now I wouldn't even think about doing it. I would inspect every inch of it. I'd have people coming in. We'd be chaining. It'd be all kinds of, but at that time I was, and what it did is, when it came down, it literally catapulted me, like slingshotted me, because I was holding it and went boom, and just flicked me against the wall.
Scary.
So it saved me by having the pressure.
Yeah.
But those things happen, and it's often young people. They don't realize what they don't realize.
Yeah, that's a big focus. Like, you need those coaches, you need those leaders, and I don't care what your job title is.
Yeah.
We need people to participate and show people the ropes, and as they get onboarded into the industry. We talk a lot about field level risk assessments and job hazard analysis. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's 3 pretty simple steps. It's, what's the step of the job? What could go wrong? How could I get hurt? And what do we need to do to prevent it? Yeah. And when you get to that second question, like, what could go wrong? If you haven't seen it go wrong, you haven't really specifically been told, hey, the stored energy in that line could kill you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's you don't know what you don't know. So that's where you really need those leaders in the field to work together.
Where does that come from? Is that the same? It's got to come from.
Yeah, that's going to come from management at the project level. Like we could give people the templates, we can do the training, we can do some coaching, but ultimately it kind of goes back to that operations owning it.
Yeah.
If they don't make the people available to do that coaching and want to instill that sense of importance, then we're going to hurt somebody eventually. So
that when things do go wrong, because people do get hurt in mining. Although it's worth noting, they talk about mining actually is amazingly safe. Like we have a construction show, so I'm not picking on construction. I love construction, but if you look at like commercial and construction, stats are way crazier for injury. So mining sometimes we were talking about a study and they studied like 60 mines with it's this huge study, and I was expecting like a number, and their incidents were tiny. It was amazing. It was quite encouraging to see. So I think mining needs to give itself a bit of credit for what it's done. Actually,
I think you're right. We don't do maybe a good enough job as an industry celebrating our success.
I 100% agree.
And for whatever reason, when mining fatalities across Canada happen, they make the news everywhere.
Yeah,
and so it gives a bit of a bad reputation, maybe.
Yeah, I think I think what it is people don't see it. Right. Yeah. Within construction, people see equipment. They understand they're driving by. There's stop signs everywhere. They understand this is a dangerous place. They understand there's risk. So it doesn't have that same feeling.
Yeah, I think people don't understand the technology, the size of things, and ultimately the skill of the people.
Yeah.
Like it's just really it's misunderstood. I love the people in our industry. I do. I think they're creative.
Amazing.
They're a little crazy, but they're fun. Like I'm never bored, especially when I go to our sites. It's awesome.
I love at these events when the party starts and everybody gets like this wild look in their eyes. It's like, okay,
yeah. They got those roots in them.
Yeah, when incidents happen, I got really derailed for my question. When those how do you approach that though?
Yeah.
Also having a culture of people willing to say exactly what happened.
Yeah. So on the reporting is probably the thing we work on the most. And because if the crews aren't telling us what went wrong, we can't manage it, right? It's a really difficult thing. So
it's a tricky thing.
Yeah. So, injuries are one thing. We can't have people hiding injuries because you got to get treated. That's important. But a big thing is to like learning about these near misses. And because those are freebies. Yeah. Those are opportunities to learn where nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
But they take courage to report them because people get defensive, right? They think I screwed up or my coworker screwed up and I don't really want to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But part of the message when we talk about the importance of reporting is that, okay, imagine this near miss happened to you today. You don't report it and your cross shift gets killed on night shift from the same thing.
Yeah.
You could have let us know. So like there's kind of a poem. I could have saved a life that day. I could have stopped and corrected. I could have reported something. So it is critical that our people respond to these reports well.
Yeah.
If you you got to get the context, you got to make sure that you respond correctly and understand the risk, understand the hazard, understand what happened. Because if you get into having a blame culture, people just simply will not report anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll just stop.
Yeah.
And that near misses point you made is exactly right. It's a freebie. It's an opportunity. But if somebody goes, well,
nothing happened, nothing got broke. Nobody needs to know
about it.
Yeah.
And have you think at Cementation you've accomplished that in the culture that people feel that not just safe. I think that's sort of a cop-out, like safe to talk. That's it's the need.
Yeah.
You
never know how many don't go
that's true.
Because
you
don't go report it. But no, I truly believe we've done a good job in building that up and it's building that trust. Right. And like I said, there's so much focus on leadership because the first time somebody even brings up a concern, maybe there isn't a incident, but just a concern.
Yeah.
If you're kind of new to the company or new to the industry and you bring up a concern to your supervisor and your supervisor blows you off, you're never going to report a
It's done.
concern
Yeah.
anymore, right? So the reaction of the leadership group is just so critical. And then when we do the investigations, we really, really try and focus on what broke down in our systems, not what somebody did wrong.
Right.
And once you
That's
kind
a
of
challenge right there.
yeah, once you build that understanding,
Yeah.
and you're not just necessarily kicking people off sites or firing them or writing them up, people are going to feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
They're not fearing for their job.
Yeah.
If you ever fired somebody for reporting a near miss,
Right.
you're never going to get any of these reported again on your project.
I wouldn't have been on any projects.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you have to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to thank people for doing it. We've actually set targets on near miss reporting frequency. And basically, people work about 2,000 hours a year, roughly. So we actually it's kind of similar as what you do with your injury frequencies. But when we tell our crews, we expect one near miss reported for every person per year. And when you ask them, is there one thing that you could report this year working underground in this mine that could help us learn? And generally the answer is yes.
Going to be yes, yeah.
And there's a lot of tools out there for positive recognition and thanking people for doing that.
Yeah.
Because they might have just literally saved a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no, I mean, cementation, obviously Roy's a very vocal person in the industry about it. But what's neat is now getting to talk to you and someone else in the position of championing safety and seeing that culture actually part of cementation. It's quite exciting. So
yeah, I think we've all learned a lot from Roy, and he was awarded last night with the CIM Safety Leadership Medal.
Was
the
it?
awards gala, and
he's going to brag about it.
No doubt. But that's where my job is easy when you have people like that.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to work for a company whose senior people fought health and safety, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Roy is passionate about safety. When him and I are talking and the cameras off, we're over talking, just chatting. He's passionate about it as when he's with the cameras on. Yeah. And that's it's ingrained in him. Yeah. And that's what you need in the culture.
Yeah, and I think, these things flow from the top of an organization down, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think it's our job now to maintain that.
Yeah.
And improve it where we can, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you are. So
thanks.
Okay. From everything I hear anyway.
Appreciate that.
Great. Okay. Thank you for being on the show. Hope we do it again.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And thank you everybody for watching. Of course, we'll have a link. If you don't mind, we'll put a link to your LinkedIn.
Sounds good.
If you want to connect. We'll also have Cementation's LinkedIn account. You can follow them, their website. Go check them out. Thank you everybody for watching. We will see you on the next episode of Mining Now.